really interesting story from the CEO and the founder of Amazon. Jeff Bezos announced a really interesting investment he's making. He's spending $42 million to construct a massive clock inside a Texas mountain that will tick.
10,000-year clock is a physical clock of monumental scale. It's about 500 feet tall. It's inside a mountain in West Texas in a chamber that's about 12 feet in diameter and 500 feet tall. 10,000-year clock is an idea conceived by a brilliant guy named Danny Hillis.
I wanted a symbol of the future in the same way that, say, the pyramids are a symbol of the past. I wanted to build something that gave us that sense of connection. And that's how I started thinking about the clock.
Deep inside a remote Texas mountain, Jeff Bezos is building a clock that ticks once per year and won't finish its cycle for 10,000 years. He's personally invested $42 million into carving it 500 feet into solid rock, on land he owns. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just eccentric billionaire behavior. This is one of the most sophisticated wealth preservation and tax optimization strategies ever constructed, disguised as a philosophical monument. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Bezos is using long-term thinking to build wealth that outlasts empires. Let's break down the money behind the monument. The Clock of the Long Now didn't start with Bezos. It began in 1995 with computer scientist Danny Hillis, who was frustrated with society's obsession with short-term gains. His solution? Build a 10,000-year clock to force humanity to think in longer time frames. Why 10,000 years?
Sometime in the 1990s, I started noticing that the year 2000 was kind of a mental barrier for people. It was hard for them to think past it. And I realized that when I had been a kid growing up in the 1960s, people thought about the year 2000. 2001 Space Odyssey, and we really imagined it as real time we'd get to see.
That's how long civilization has existed since agriculture and writing emerged. Hillis wanted a mirror pointing forward. If we've come this far, we should plan that far ahead. The idea attracted thinkers like Stuart Brand and Brian Eno, leading to the Long Now Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to fostering long-term responsibility. They built prototypes, an 8-foot version at the Science Museum in London, another in San Francisco. But here's where the money gets interesting. Around 2011, Jeff Bezos pledged $42 million to fund the full-scale clock. But he didn't just write a check, he provided the land in West Texas's Sierra Diablo Range. Remote, geologically stable, privately owned, and here's the first wealth tactic: donating to a nonprofit foundation while maintaining control of the project site. Bezos gets the tax deduction on the $42 million donation, but the land, which could appreciate significantly as Texas develops, remains his. The foundation maintains the clock, but Bezos' estate controls access. Excavation began years ago. As of early 2026, installation is actively underway. Titanium gears, stainless steel components, chime systems. It's entirely mechanical, powered by the mountain's temperature changes, requiring no electricity. Built to last millennia. But the real question is, why would the world's wealthiest investors sink money into something that won't finish for 10,000 years? Stay with me, because the engineering is where this financial strategy gets really clever. Let's talk scale, because understanding the design reveals the financial architecture. The clock stands 500 feet tall inside a vertical shaft carved into the mountain. Visitors enter through a long tunnel, then ascend through chambers displaying celestial mechanics, solar years, lunar cycles, planetary alignments tracked over 10,000 years. Upper levels house the clock face, a massive chime system with bells generating over 3.5 million unique sequences, and the core mechanism. It ticks once annually. The century hand moves every 100 years. A titanium pendulum provides rhythm while the system self-corrects to solar noon using thermal mechanisms and sunlight. Now here's the wealth preservation angle most people miss. Tactic number 2, building permanent infrastructure on appreciating land. Bezos owns thousands of acres in West Texas. By installing a globally significant monument on that land, he's created a cultural landmark that increases the property's value exponentially, a tourist destination that could eventually generate revenue, though currently private, an asset that becomes more valuable with age. Unlike almost any other investment, compare this to art, which can fall out of fashion, or real estate, which requires maintenance. This clock becomes more significant as time passes, a reverse aging asset. Tactic number 3, charitable giving with retained influence. The Long Now Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit. Bezos' $42 million donation is tax deductible. But because he owns the land and the foundation depends on his property for the project's existence, he maintains de facto control without the tax burden of private ownership. The clock requires occasional visits to wind and maintain, creating a built-in reason for Bezos or his estate managers to access the remote property indefinitely. It even includes 5 room-sized anniversary chambers for 1 year, 10-year, 100-year, 1,000-year, and 10,000-year milestones. The first displays a mechanical orrery, the rest are empty, waiting. Empty chambers that future Bezos descendants could fill with whatever they choose. This isn't just a clock, it's a family compound with a 10,000-year lease on cultural relevance. But the tax benefits and land appreciation are just the surface level. Here's where Bezos' long-term thinking becomes a competitive advantage in wealth building. The clock serves as a physical symbol against short-termism, the enemy of generational wealth. Quarterly earnings reports, election cycles, viral trends, these create a culture where companies sacrifice long-term value for immediate gains, where families blow fortunes in 3 generations, where investors panic sell at market bottoms. Bezos and Hillis see short-term thinking as the root cause of civilization's scale problems: environmental damage, debt burdens on future generations, underinvestment in breakthrough research. The clock is designed to counter this. But here's the financial insight. Short-term thinkers lose. Long-term thinkers compound. Bezos didn't build Amazon by optimizing for quarterly profits. He famously ran at a loss for years, reinvesting everything into infrastructure. Blue Origin, his space company, operates on timelines measured in decades, not years. The motto is gradatim ferociter, step by step, ferociously, but always long-term. Tactic number 4, using legacy projects to reinforce brand narrative. The clock generates massive PR value for Bezos personally. It positions him not as a ruthless monopolist, but as a visionary planning for humanity's 10,000-year future. That narrative protects his other businesses, his reputation, his political influence. When regulators investigate Amazon, when critics attack his wealth, he can point to this: I'm investing in humanity's survival. The Long Now Foundation uses the clock to launch adjacent projects: language preservation, civilization scale challenge seminars. These create networking opportunities with other billionaires, intellectuals, policymakers, the kind of soft power that money alone can't buy. Tactic number 5, creating intergenerational wealth transfer mechanisms. The clock requires caretakers across centuries. Future Bezos descendants inherit not just money, but a mission: stewardship of humanity's long-term thinking. This creates a family identity beyond wealth, tax advantage structures that span generations, a framework for teaching heirs to think in centuries, not lifetimes. Wealthy families lose fortunes because heirs lack purpose. Bezos is literally building purpose into stone and titanium. Now here's the part that should make you rethink everything you know about billionaire investments. Let's talk about what this really is. An investment in the one asset class that only appreciates: legacy. Bezos owns a $500 million super yacht with a $75 million support vessel, multiple mansions including a $165 million Beverly Hills compound, private jets, art collections. But in 200 years, none of that matters. The yacht will be scrapped. The mansions will be demolished or renovated beyond recognition. The art might survive in museums, credited to previous owners, not him. But the 10,000-year clock? That will still be ticking, with his name permanently attached. Here's what most people don't understand about ultra-wealthy legacy planning. At a certain wealth level, the goal isn't more money, it's permanence. It's ensuring your name survives millennia, that your values shape civilizations you'll never see. Rockefeller has universities, Carnegie has libraries, ancient pharaohs have pyramids. Bezos has a clock that will outlast all of them. In his Lex Fridman interview, Bezos acknowledged the uncertainty. Do I think humans will be here in 10,000 years? Yes, but the United States won't exist. Whole civilizations rise and fall. Yet he added, if we think long-term, we can accomplish things that we couldn't otherwise accomplish. This is radical optimism as financial strategy, betting that civilizations will rise and fall around this clock, each one asking, who built this? What were they thinking? And every time, the answer will be Jeff Bezos. Tactic number 6, monopolizing deep time. Nobody else is building 10,000-year monuments. Elon Musk focuses on Mars, but that's a settlement, not a symbol. Mark Zuckerberg builds virtual worlds that could be obsolete in 20 years. Bill Gates funds global health, but diseases change. The clock is the only billionaire project explicitly designed to outlast human civilization as we know it. That's a monopoly on the longest possible time frame. But here's the final wealth tactic, and it's the most important one. The $42 million Bezos invested in this clock will generate returns that compound over 10,000 years. Not in dollars, in influence. Every century, historians will study this. Archaeologists of the year 12,025 will excavate around it. Philosophers will debate its meaning, and every single analysis will center on Jeff Bezos, his vision, his wealth, his legacy. Compare that to any other investment. Stock portfolios diversify and disappear into indexes. Real estate gets redeveloped. Companies go bankrupt. Even gold bars can be melted down and lose their provenance. But a 10,000-year clock carved into a mountain on land your descendants own? That's forever. The clock also serves as insurance against catastrophe. If civilization collapses and rebuilds, this monument becomes a Rosetta Stone, proof that previous humans thought long-term, that they valued foresight, that they believed in a future worth planning for. Whoever finds it will want to know everything about the builder. They'll study Bezos, Amazon, Blue Origin. His ideas will influence the rebuilt civilization. This is compound interest on identity. Is this altruism or ego? Probably both. Is it a tax strategy or genuine concern for humanity? Again, both. The brilliance is that it doesn't matter. The clock works either way. So here's what we learned. Jeff Bezos spent $42 million building a 10,000-year clock. He got tax deductions, increased his land value, secured his legacy, and positioned himself as humanity's long-term guardian, all while maintaining control through strategic nonprofit structures and land ownership. It's the ultimate celebrity money tactic. Make your wealth strategy look like philosophy. Make your tax optimization look like altruism. Make your family compound look like a monument to humanity. The ultra-wealthy don't just play the game differently, they play games we don't even know exist, on time frames we can't imagine. If this breakdown changed how you see billionaire investments, subscribe to Ghost Ledgers for more deep dives into how the ultra-wealthy actually build and protect generational wealth. Because understanding long-term thinking isn't just for billionaires, it's how you start thinking like one. Drop a comment, visionary legacy project or the world's most expensive tax write-off. Both answers are probably correct. Thanks for watching. In the world of real wealth, long-term thinking isn't just smart. It's the only game worth playing.